Hello again, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Game Pass Grab Bag, your weekly podcast reviewing games from the Game Pass collection, bringing you three unique perspectives and varying skill range. I am the one whose wife says I have the body of a Greek god, Dionysus. Andrew, with us, the one who has the body of a hero, Sandwich, Keith.
Hello.
And the one who has heroin in her veins, Liz.
Wow. Hey, guys. One intro.
This week we played Immortal Phoenix Rising by Ubisoft Studios. Immortal Phoenix Rising is a third-person open-world action-adventure game where you are playing a young shield bearer who has been called upon the Greek gods to come and save them from the evil Typhon, who's trying to take them out and destroy all the Greek gods. But going around, is this a game or pass for you? Because I got some thoughts.
I think overall, I'm going to go with calling this a game. I thought it was fun overall to play. I was enjoying the progression, the overall style of it for the most part. So I overall do have some issues as far as the way that the game progresses and some of the things and the likes of that. But I think overall, I would call it a game. I think it's worth checking out.
But I wanted to ask Keith, you never played Zelda Breath of the Wild, did you?
I did not.
Oh, okay. So me and Liz have. So for me, this is a game, but it kind of makes me sad because honestly, I think this could have been a great game if this game wasn't just so Ubisoft. Anyone who knows Ubisoft Studios really knows they kind of have a track record for things in their games, ton of microtransactions. Their games are full of fluff, of just constantly collecting 1,000 collectibles. And it's just like, and this game is just filled with it. This is just such a very Ubisoft game. But if you're looking for a Breath of the Wild style game that is obviously not on Switch, this is a pretty good game. I had a lot of fun with it. I thought the story was pretty interesting. Some of the writing and voice acting is questionable, but if this just wasn't such an Ubisoft game, I think this could have been a great game. But this is a game for me.
Yeah, I'm leaning towards game. I actually really loved it at the beginning, and then slowly things started happening. First and foremost, I have to say something that almost made me rage quit and just like not play anymore, because I put so much time into this game, and this is like well after the amount we have to put into the game. So this came out 2 years ago, and they had an issue with save corruption. By the way, this is Andrew verified. You can look it up online. It's not a Liz thing. So what happened was I would manually save my game. I do it a lot in games like this, especially if you have like a really long vault, which you can't save in the vault, or you have like a tough battle or whatever. And all of a sudden it said save corrupted, and I had been putting it under the same save for that kind of go. Like, I don't do a ton of save slots, but for like an hour and a half I was using the same save slot, and it deleted everything, all of my manual saves, all of the quick saves, all that kind of stuff. And it kept happening when I went on, and I immediately like exit out of the game, try to save my progress, and it kept happening. Andrew figured it out that you can't do quick resume, at least for my game. It didn't happen to you, right?
No, it did. This is why I was able to figure it out. So this is a very Ubisoft thing. Their games always need to be online because they want to verify that you're not stealing their game. And because of that, even though this is a strictly only single player game, there's no multiplayer aspects to it, which is weird because they have a friend referral program for you to contact your friends to tell them to buy this game, even though you can't play with them with it in any way. But yeah, you need to always be online. So if you're playing with the Xbox Series S or X, do not quick resume in this game, because if you stay idle too long, you disconnect from the Ubisoft servers, which Ubisoft servers also have terrible servers. If you try to play some of their games, your game just doesn't connect to it sometimes. They're really bad. So you can corrupt your save file by like not connecting to their servers.
Which, there should be a warning. This is something that's been happening for 2 years. They had a patch that came out a year ago, and they said they fixed it, and they didn't. After 2 years, have a disclaimer saying do not do quick resume something. I think it's actually really garbage of them after 2 years not telling someone. Because it sounds like I'm being kind of dramatic about it, but there are people who lost their entire game, all of their gameplay, and like 8 to 20 hours that I saw online. And so This is something like, if you're getting these complaints, you don't do anything about it, like, screw you. Like, that's my time. But I also, so I was saying earlier that I was really enjoying the game, but then as it progressed, there were like a lot of shortcomings that came to the surface that I just started liking it less and less. And I was just like, I could be playing Zelda. And I think you should play Zelda. But this is still a fun game for the first, like, I think when I started losing my save, it was around like the 15-hour mark, 18-hour mark. And at that point, I was just kind of done with the game.
Yeah, I did run into that once where it was telling me it corrupted, but it actually ended up letting me play still. Like I quit out and came back. So I'm not doubting you, Liz. I'm saying I think I only actually ran into it once, but it also was from quick resume.
I like that you always say, like, I'm not doubting you,
Well,
but it's Andrew verified and the entire internet verified. Be like, I'm not doubting you.
Well,
but
it's because I want to make sure that you understand that my saying that it only happened to me once wasn't me saying that I didn't believe you. I do believe you. but yeah, I think that was really the only issue that I ran into, and it's stupid. I agree, but I don't know. I probably because I was fortunate enough that it didn't really impact me. I guess I will say it didn't bother me.
I think too, like for me, when it happened, when I lost like an hour and a half. Wait, it wasn't at the 15 or 18-hour mark. That was like a couple times later, because it was actually when I was doing the upgrades. Because I was so mad that I had to go through all those stupid cutscenes again.
You can skip them.
No, not the ones where you're like first learning how to upgrade your stamina.
When Hermes
stuff.
explaining them to you?
Like you can skip through dialogue, but I had to do the whole thing again. And that's when I was just like, ooh. So yeah, it wasn't at that mark. That was a different save corrupt thing that happened. But yeah, for me, like I'm thankful that it didn't delete my whole game. Like that happened to some people. So I feel really bad for them.
All right, well, let's get into this episode. So I'm going to try and not be so bitter because...
You hate Ubisoft.
Ubisoft is my least favorite studio. Yeah. So I'm just going to say my things now, get it out of the way. I think Ubisoft's a terrible company. I know EA has numerous times won the worst company in like the worst like company in the world award multiple times. I don't know why Ubisoft has not, because I think their games are just full of gross microtransactions. Their games are full of fluff to encourage you to buy those microtransactions, and I kind of hate that stuff. And it's just frustrating to me because I think Ubisoft has such talent. I think this game had a lot of great things about it, but their management always just like wants to get every penny from you. And I think that's why this game kind of got bogged down, because it's so full of just repetitive kind of stuff to it. But I'll stop.
But you know what? I saw a lot of that online when I was looking up the Metacritic. There are a lot of people who hate Ubisoft. I never see that in reviews, but people are like, this company's horrible. And it's just like, if they didn't have such a bad reputation, they'd probably have better sales.
And it stinks because they do have the talent. Like their games are fun. Like I enjoy the Assassin's Creed games. I don't think they're not my favorite, but I always enjoy them. I enjoy Far Cry series, but once again, their games are very wash and like rinse and repeat of the same thing over and over again. And this is the first time. This is one thing that was nice about this. This is a new IP from Ubisoft, which they don't do much anymore. They don't do new IPs. But this was a solid game. But let's get into the story of it. As I said, so you are playing Phoenix, who is this young shield bearer who's coming back from a war, and your ship gets shipwrecked, and you find out that your entire crew has been turned to stone, but you're the lone survivor. And you find out that the gods are all being destroyed by this evil force named Typhon. And you are called upon the gods to help save them and return their essences and get the gods back together and take the fight back to Typhon. But this game is also done in a storytelling element of Zeus talking to Promethean. And Promethean is the storyteller explaining the things that are happening, which I couldn't quite figure out. I don't know. Keith, did you figure this out? Is this in the past, the present, or the future? Because there's times where Promethean was kind of saying, like, it sounded like it was in the future. How's it like Spaceballs?
The scene where they're playing Spaceballs in the movie, and they're sitting there watching it happen.
Oh yeah.
They're kind of like, I don't know. I was joking about that more than anything, but yeah,
that's an odd reference.
I kind of figured it was like kind of talking about it as it happened. But yeah, because it starts out where he's like, I thought it was Prometheus, but anyways, I thought he was like, tied up, and then Zeus comes up,
Promethean.
And they're chit chatting, and then he like goes into the story about Phoenix, which it sounds like he's talking about in the past. Yeah, I think he's telling a story that happened, and I'm guessing the end of it, and I don't know because I didn't look it up, but I'm guessing the end of it like meets up with them in real time, like where they are at that point. That's sort of where I assumed it was going.
Like Andrew made me think it was like, present pretending to be past, because I just took it as what it was at the beginning, where it was like, oh, this happened in the past. But then when you said that, I was like, oh. So I don't know.
Yeah, because there's moments where Prometheus is talking about how he's like a fortune teller. So it's like, oh, so is this the future? So I couldn't quite figure it out. I did at least find this story relatively interesting. I do like this right at the get-go, though. The game does not shy away about how awful Greek gods are.
Yeah, I love that, because like they have to go back to their original forms, and their like original personality sucked. Like Aphrodite is terrible.
All of them are
terrible. She actually
terrible.
lost all of that evilness, like that she just wanted to give to the animals and be good, and then they're like, no, you got to go back to your evil ways for us. Sorry about that. I was like, that is harsh.
But yeah, they're constantly telling stories of Zeus. Even as you're going around and doing all these side quest missions and stuff like that, you see these quick little puzzles or whatever of like a scene, and it's like, hey Zeus, you remember when you turned this person into a cow, and then the mosquitoes constantly kept eating this cow, or remember the time you turned someone into a bug and ate them? Like, it's just constantly these awful stories about all the Greek gods. None of them are good.
And I like the banter between the two people talking over the game.
I sometimes did.
I did, but you know what? I could very easily block them out as well.
Yeah.
So I feel like I just knew when it was enough, and I just blocked them out. So I liked them.
Yeah, I thought overall they were fairly lighthearted, fairly fun, but I think, I largely started to tune them out at parts. And like at some points of when I was playing the game, I was actually even just playing it cloud stream on my phone, and I just sort of turned off the volume altogether at that point because I wasn't listening to it, and it was just fine. So yeah, I could take or leave it.
Since this game, like I said, is all kind of done through a storytelling between Zeus and Prometheus, they kind of jump in with these random commentaries. And yeah, some of them are kind of funny. That kind of give me a chuckle, but then some of them are kind of like, this is weird. But one thing I thought was just kind of weird with that's pacing is obviously a lot of the storytelling is supposed to like show Zeus in particular how awful he is, and for him to come to realization about how awful he is. But it's an open world game, so you obviously are trying to return 4 main gods: Aphrodite, Hephaestus, Ares, and Athena. But you can kind of tackle them in any way you want. And so there's moments of the story where Zeus is like, man, I'm really terrible. But then you start another god story, and he kind of reverts back to what his awful terribleness. And it's just, I don't know, the pacing of the story was kind of weird.
I mean, do you expect him to actually like become good? I feel like the things that these gods did, I'm just like, I don't expect them to all of a sudden be a good person or be like, oh yeah, that was evil. It's like, oh, when you kill people, you don't feel bad, So for me, I'm just like,
it's not just kill people; they straight up torture people in the worst ways.
I feel like it would have been like really lame, and I wouldn't have believed it if he was like, I was a bad person. I'm gonna do good now.
No, I mean, Andrew said it. As far as mythology goes, the Greek gods were basically all terrible, awful, not people, but doing bad stuff to people.
Yeah. I mean, and like I said, I'm glad that they kind of didn't sugarcoat it. So this is one thing that's actually kind of great. If you do like Greek mythology, like this game does kind of show you some real Greek mythology, which is not good. But unfortunately, I wish it kind of dove more into it. A lot of the puzzles, you're just kind of seeing a quick picture, and they just give a quick snippet of like, oh yeah, how Sisyphus constantly has to roll the boulder up a hill that never quite makes it up there. And like, that's it. They don't quite fully explain why he did it, like what happened to him. It's just like a quick couple sentence of explaining a little bit of that lore. So I kind of wish the game had more lore for you to actually uncover instead of like just 1 or 2 sentences. But did the story, were you guys interested at all? I know you ended up muting a lot of it, Keith.
I mean, I got the gist of it. I didn't feel like I was missing much of it because I didn't think it was overly engaging. It was, trying to help Zeus, but do you really want to? Or are you just doing it 'cause? But I didn't really care.
So Liz, did the story grip you at all?
I actually was enjoying it quite a bit because I think the fact that it had me thinking about the characters means that I was enjoying it. Like I said earlier about Aphrodite, and then you were telling me, I didn't do too much with the god that was in the forge, but you were telling me about him, and I was like, oh, I kind of feel bad for him. But yeah, so I got into it, but I really think that the gameplay kind of affected my overall feel of the game. So like towards that, like, 18-hour mark, I was just like, I'm kind of done listening and playing, you know? So I just felt like, I don't know. I feel bad saying that, but...
No, I mean, you're right. It's a very Ubisoft game where it's like, I feel like it's a lot of fun at first, but then you're like, I am doing the same things over and over and over and over and over again.
And also, there was just like a lot of unlikability as well. And so with the gods, I mean.
Yeah. Well, that's one thing I at least like about this, because as I said, if you know Greek gods, they are awful, awful beings. And so I at least enjoyed kind of the splashy humor they kind of put into it, because it definitely lightened the mood. Because, yeah, if it was just constant nonstop of, here's another bad story about him, here's another bad story about him. Because that was one thing I was thinking of, like, doing this. I'm like, do I really want to save them? Like, why am I doing this? They don't even
want your help half the time.
Yeah.
It's like, and they talk down to you, and it's like, this person's a human saving your butt. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, maybe you should be a little grateful. So, I don't know. It was kind of a little irritating, but sometimes I liked them.
Well, I think it's funny, Andrew, because you said that they don't really sugarcoat them, and they don't, in the sense of, they don't hide the fact that they're basically awful, but they do, like, put some comedy around it, or at least some comedic relief. So, like, they're, like, again, the relationship between Zeus and Prometheus, they're kind of just very jokey about the whole thing. Like, there's one of them, something about Zeus turning someone into an animal. I think it was the mosquito one. He's just like, I don't know. It's probably possible. I was just really drunk that day, so I don't know. And he kind of just laughs it off.
Well, the way that they're talking together, too, when one of the guys... I forget which one's torturing who.
Zeus is torturing Prometheus.
Yeah, that's what I thought. And so, like, he actually had, like, part of his body part eaten.
Yeah, that's his punishment. He's changed to a rock, and an eagle comes and eats his liver every day, and he regenerates it by the end of the night.
Yeah, like, the way that they're bantering and stuff, like,
like they're best buds. It's kind of weird. I'd be like, I would not help you ever.
No.
Well, I mean, I think Liz asked the good question, is who's really torturing who? Is Zeus torturing Prometheus with the liver, or is Prometheus torturing Zeus with this ongoing forever story?
I don't know. I really wanted to get to the end of this game. I'm really close.
You're right at the end.
I got all the gods. I'm climbing the mountain. I think I probably have to like do another fight or two of like a big boss. But I mean, this game it's hefty. You're looking at 25 hours to just do main campaign, and up to 40 to 60 if you want to do everything.
Yeah,
so
you can get distracted very easily, and I got distracted very easily.
Well, this is one thing that's kind of annoying. You have to get distracted because like.
You need the stuff to upgrade your weapons.
Yeah,
there
and it's
are
mandatory.
No extra. I mean, there's like 2 axes that I've discovered in 18 hours, maybe 3 bows, but there really isn't a difference. So you're not really getting weapons. You need to upgrade them. You need to upgrade your health and all that when you go to harder areas. So you really do need to loot the chest to get those things to upgrade.
Yeah, and not only that, you also really need to upgrade your character because once you get to certain difficulties, like the enemies are so hard. And you need a certain amount of stamina. So even though it's kind of like, oh, it's optional to go around and collect this stuff and get stronger. It's like, no, you really got to waste a lot of time to go and collecting a lot of the stuff.
And it's hard because it's not just like the fighting that's repetitive, but it's like there's constant like reskins, the lack of weapons, like everything. Even like the vaults. Like at first I was like, oh, this is kind of like Zelda. You have these fun puzzles, but then like you're so far into the game and you're still doing the same type of puzzles.
Yep, the puzzles repeat like crazy.
Yeah, and so I liked them at first, but then it just like, but for me, it's just the fact that everything got repetitive. Yeah. And for me, it just like, I said this to Andrew so many times, and I'm repeating myself a bit right now, but I'm just like, give me more weapons. Like, I'm getting more armor, and the armor, like, what I was finding wasn't really suiting like my playstyle anyways, so it just like, the fun factor just went down so hard.
Yeah, I wish the weapon variety was a little bit more interesting.
I wish different combos.
And possibly even, either different combos or maybe you upgrade them independently so that you can actually, to Liz's point, make them feel like one's actually better than the other. There are some I found that kind of suited a play style that was better, but nothing drastic. And honestly, the one that comes into mind in particular is I got an axe that had like a chance at triple damage if I was doing air attacks, which is pretty easy to combo with the axe. You just jump and then start mashing the right trigger. And I was kind of just chewing down anybody who stood in my path with that, but it didn't make it more interesting. It was just like, oh, okay, this is just the move I spam now.
I also think that with the combat, it was a bit more refreshing when I kind of learned to throw the stones and stuff. Like, I feel like I feel like, I can't talk. I feel like I relied heavily on the bow and arrow and then the stones for like the bulkier enemies. But even that, just like the stones cause so much damage, so it was super easy sometimes. So for me, I just felt like there was never really a good balance for me.
Yeah, the combat, it did just get... I mean, everything in this game got so repetitive. Because, like, when you think about it, there's literally maybe 8-10 enemies.
Yeah, like the slug demon, there was a red one and a blue one.
Yeah. All of them just had different colors. Yeah, because that represented their difficulty. You know, if they were just like basic looking, you know, basic enemy. But yeah, when they turn blue, slightly harder. Then when they're red, that's like the hardest level of them. So it's just reskinnings of them of like what color they are. But yeah, there's like 2 generic soldiers, you know, a captain, a Cerberus. There's 2 flying monsters. Like, it was just a lot of the same monsters. And so sick to see
one
them.
of the enemies had a shield.
Really it?
Yeah.
When you think about it, yeah.
And you go to the different areas, and except for some of them have like different animals, but just like if you're not going to be able to like cook and harvest and stuff, why have the animals? Just create new enemies. So I didn't really understand why they were there either.
Wow, yeah, because I didn't actually get past Aphrodite. I think I did like 2 of the 3 quest lines for her. But yeah, I didn't really explore too many of the other areas, and I figured that's why I didn't run into anybody else, and I didn't really even think about it because I was just in that same area. So I thought, oh, okay, cool. That's kind of
no.
sad.
There's probably one more monster type you didn't see, but that's probably about it.
Maybe.
Oh, the
guys with multiple arms.
Yeah, I think it was like 8 arms or something.
But
yeah,
that's about it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he was annoying.
I didn't see any of them like Goro.
Yeah, he kind of looks like Goro.
Okay.
But yeah, and it was just like, as Liz said too, like, and the puzzles just repeated like crazy, which also irritated me. Like the frescoes. It's this little sliding puzzle block game. You know, the first time I saw it, I was like, oh, this is cool. You know, it had me scratch my head a little bit. But then I figured out a system for it, and all of them are exactly the same.
Yeah,
and it's just like, why would you do this? You created a puzzle that's literally just making me repeat over and over again. I have a tried and true strategy, which worked every time. And it was just like, but it's like, I'm sick of doing these things. Like, you could have mixed it up.
Same with like put the blocks on the pads. Yep. Some float, some don't. And then same with, you know, light the flames. Those were the big puzzle things.
When you do the main god's vault to like get their essence, that one changes up the puzzle system a little bit.
But each one has some are too long though. Like they get interesting.
Those you get to save. You can save in those vaults.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it says these vaults are long and difficult. You can come back to it like your progress.
I was so nervous before I figured out the trick that you gave me with the quick resume.
Yeah.
Doing those long vaults, I got so nervous that I was going to have to repeat them.
Yeah, but those ones at least had like an interesting mechanic. Like, you know, Aphrodite's is all about like burning this poison root. Hephaestus had this wind that you had to redirect to move either some of the pieces or to transport you. Ares had these blocks that could float that are normally really heavy, but you'd have to float them and then try to like move with them. And then,
is that the one where you cut the chains?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like they actually changed the puzzle ups a little bit with them, but they didn't with the bosses. The boss is just once again a reskin of an enemy you've been fighting. So it's just like, okay, this is kind of unfortunate.
They didn't get harder as it went on. I forget what you call it. You know how like they have like a new technique later on. It's just like fighting them was the same throughout the entire battle.
Yeah, the same move sets. Yeah, they weren't stage fights.
Were they almost like elite versions?
But I also think they failed in a couple other areas as well. Like this irritated Andrew at first more than me, but then I grew to hate it as well. But when you're scanning the area and you're revealing different chests and stuff, it was so finicky.
So tedious.
And so, like, I mean, you can come across them anyways, but it actually is nice for it to come up in your meter. And so for me, like, I was like, do I want to waste the time of trying to... And sometimes it would have the reveal in one area, and then it went back, and it would be all the way to the left, like the same distance. It was so ridiculous. And then also, I wish you could just upgrade from the menu. You have to go to the Hall of Gods, and you still have to do those cutscenes.
You could skip them. But yeah, it is annoying.
But still, like, you have to go all the way back to the Hall of the Gods and do them.
Yeah. At least that's fast travel.
I think you could skip them.
Yeah, you can. If you mash B, it works.
No.
Yeah, I mean the fast travel aspect is nice to it, and it's actually a pretty forgiving fast travel. I actually didn't like discovering too much. I mean, it's nice if you're trying to clean things up, but as a whole, having only that, how do you describe that? The like slider bar compass at the top. What's the best
I
way
think
to
that's
describe
great.
that?
Slider bar compass.
Well, it's a compass. Yeah, it's just I don't like that style. I like a mini map. Like, give me a tiny little circle of a mini map in the corner, and I can follow that better. I get myself so turned around with those things, because then if there's like 10 different things that I can find and 5 of them are chests, I'm like, wait, was that the chest I wanted? Is that
But
the
you
chest I
can do
wanted?
an individual pin of a color. So I actually thought it was so easy that way.
I don't have
Custom
time
pin.
for custom pins and all that crap. I just want to follow the markers on my map, and that's what I want to do.
See, but you can go back to the map as well if you're confused. So I actually thought it was a perfect system where you could go to your map if you're like slightly confused. Or there were a couple times where my compass wouldn't work and I had to do that. But when the compass worked, I thought it was spectacular. I really liked it. Because especially when the compass was working for me, I would just go to a high point, put my wings out, and just glide, and then get there so much faster. I always
Spread your
forgot
wings
to-
and fly.
I forgot to boost all the time, though.
I know.
And
I always
Angie
have to
was
tell you,
like,
hold
boost.
X, hold X.
Well, but that's the other thing, though, is as far as like the minimap goes, I want to a certain point get to, especially, with all these other things I can get from Hermes, let me just buy all the points. Or once I've actually discovered it by coming across that chest, don't make me like reveal it with the far sight as well. That's just a tedious nuisance.
Oh, yeah. And it's weird. Literally every Ubisoft game has these high points that you have to climb, and then it reveals the map, and then you can search and see points of interest. It's weird. They've at least like cut down some of the tedium in some of the games. Like I think it was the last Far Cry. Well, I haven't played the latest one. It was I think Far Cry 5. But like when you would search an area, it would just automatically reveal, hey, you discovered this part of the map. Here's all the points of interest. You didn't have to do this stupid, let me scan around and look for things, and click right trigger. There's a chest. Oh, let me look around. It's just a massive waste of time. I hate it. I hated it
But
so
it's weird
much.
that they didn't put the time into fixing that. But you got the ability to, when you hit Y, you can group grab things. So your like little stamina mushrooms and stuff. You have that feature that makes it super easy. But something like that, they make
They
difficult.
could make it
use
easier
a
to just
lot.
scan the stinking
So I
map.
just thought it like their priorities were a little weird. I mean,
is.
that reminds me though, I did love the abilities that you could get.
The abilities I thought were pretty good.
Some of them were like, for instance, like when I was climbing all the time, and I was like, oh, I really wish I could jump and climb like you can do in Zelda. You can unlock that ability. So there are things like that I really liked.
I mean, I like the combat abilities you got, because the combat abilities, I actually looked up some videos, and there's ways you can actually cheese a lot of the puzzles with some of the combat abilities. Like you eventually get a bird, and he can actually summon a stone statue of yourself. So there's a lot of puzzles where you need weights, and it's just like, well, I'm just going to create a statue of myself. Here's my weight, and just put it on the stand. There you go, puzzle solved.
I love that saying, cheese.
Yeah.
That you can cheese it. Because every time you say it, I just picture like so much cheese. It gives me
Give me all
so
that
much
cheese.
joy.
But then, like, you get a double jump, but if you get the Ares spear ability, it becomes a triple jump. It's an unofficial triple
Whoa.
jump, but there was actually legitimate puzzles where I would just jump over the wall. Puzzle solved. And it's like, there we go.
I'm fairly certain that it tells you this, like, because there's one of it's like a side quest. I think you have to get artifacts, and it's like, hey, you don't have the ability yet to do this, and I had the double jump, but after I got the Ares spear, it let me do it. So I think the game actually intends for you to use that as an additional jump.
Oh, see, I noticed whenever I got that warning of you don't have this ability, it's the upgraded Hercules gauntlets where you can actually pick up and hold heavy blocks.
Maybe that's what it is. I don't know. But I actually swear that between that, and I thought there was even a vault that I did that it gave it to me specially on that. Like I didn't have it unlocked yet, but it let me use that as part of the skill, and I needed it to get past the mission or the vault. So I thought it wanted you to do that, honestly.
Maybe. I know I definitely cheated some puzzles though.
Oh, I mean, I believe that you did. I absolutely do. Another thing I was gonna say though, and I don't necessarily agree with it being the best way, but I think the reason, or I assume the reason that they do the like minor reveals and make you scan the map is they make these huge maps and they want you to like appreciate them. Be like, wow, look at all these fine details. And not that everything is super fine detail, mind you, but you know, it's big. They want you to like explore the vastness of it, and they're trying to pat themselves on the back a little bit with it. And I like the medium there of Far Cry, like you were saying, of, you know, make me go find that high point, whatever. I'm fine with that. But then just let me just gav everything.
Yeah, the scanning. I just hated that scanning. I was like, this is a very dumb mechanic. Why did they add this? This
Yeah,
game
I like
came
that
out in
you hated
2020.
it at the beginning. Like the first time you did it, you were like, "This is garbage."
Yeah, well, because I knew this is an Ubisoft game, and that's something that's always in every Ubisoft game. And then when I saw that this is the route that this game went with, I'm like, this is dumb. Because I know there's a ton of stuff to collect.
It's one of those things that, like, back on an N64, like a Zelda game, if they had done that, you're like, wow, what a cool feature. This is mind-blowing because it's, like, 3D. And now I'm like, oh, my gosh. If I have to scan one more chest that has just a small amount of garbage currency, I swear.
Yeah. And this is what I mean with, like, Ubisoft games are full of fluff. Because it's like, yeah, hey, do you want to collect 1,000 of those chests? Or you can pay us $5 and we'll give you the currency. It's just like, I hate that. I hate Ubisoft can be such a gross company. It's like, yes, you can put the hours and hours into this game, or you can bypass it all by paying more money.
Which it's so crazy because I would think like, who would do that? But
A
then
lot
I
of
look
people.
at but then I look at Gardenscape and how much money they make from those, because you can also, I haven't done it, but I know somebody who has used Google Play Money. You know, you do those surveys.
Yeah.
They'll actually use like real money from the surveys to go to Gardenscape, and just like they make so much money.
They do.
From that.
I mean, clearly Ubisoft makes a bunch of money because they literally add it to every game that they make. And it's like, I mean, if people want to spend their money that way, that's fine. Not for me. I will not give you my money.
I thought of something that I like about the game, because I feel like we're a little negative right now.
Okay, yeah, I do agree. I feel like we're being negative, but
no, I there's something that I really liked. Some of the animals are very adorable. Like you heal this phoenix, and then he goes, or I don't know if it's a he or she, I forget. But they go around with you. Oh, it is a he.
Phosphor.
Yeah, he goes around with you. He helps you. He fights the bad guys, but also the bear. There was a chicken god.
Ares.
Yeah, Ares. Like, yeah, the bear with him. Like he was like trying to play chess with the bear, and the bear thought it was his turn. I was just like, guys, you stop it. It was so cute. It was just like this bear that was trying really hard. But it was like, is the bear a character, or is he actually training the bear?
No. Ares sends the bear away, and you have to see it again.
What?
Aw.
How could you? I just can't. Like,
Because he didn't want the bear to be in danger. So he told the bear he's not ready and sent him home.
makes me really sad.
I'm sure he
good
appears
that-
again later.
Yeah, good that he like didn't, put the bear in danger. But there was something about that bear that just like tugged at my heartstrings. And I actually barely was around the
barely.
chicken. I'm just gonna call him the chicken because he was rude. I don't even care if I call him by
He
his
was a
name.
rooster.
Was he?
Yeah.
I'm gonna call him a chicken.
checks
Downgrade him again.
Are you saying it's a downgrade to be a female? Because, I mean, chicken is really
'Cause
female. Like,
chickens, I feel
chicken
like
rooster, it's like male and female.
no, because I feel like so many people like hate chickens. Because I've never heard about an aggressive rooster, but people always talk about how they hate chickens.
Roosters
Roosters
are
are
the
very
Really?
aggressive. Yeah, you didn't know that?
I've only heard of people complaining about
the
chickens.
males, they're wicked
That's why they do
territorial.
cockfights. They're always
Yeah.
roosters.
Yeah.
Whenever I go to a farm, it's always the chicken being rude. There's never roosters around though.
Yeah, because the
If
roosters
you,
don't
they
fight.
oh,
keep-
see, I haven't met many roosters, but I've met a lot of chickens.
Yeah.
I
People tend to keep roosters away because, yeah, they're generally very overprotective of all the hens, and they'll attack people and anything, and they got nasty talons.
But do you know what? If chickens are such bees, I cannot imagine a rooster then.
Oh, yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
So I guess it's
they're-
not a
Except
downgrade.
they're legitimately mean.
I like that you went to like, oh, she must be making a sexist comment, but really, I'm just ignorant.
Oh, that's
So wait, what you're
Sorry,
saying
Liz.
then is that sometimes people aren't necessarily bad; they're just ignorant.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Still a callback to Senua.
no, but there's a difference between like saying dumb things and like murdering and torturing and doing vile things to other people.
I don't know. I think they're like
Was
the
that
same
a DeLorean
thing.
that
Pretty
just
sure
went
they're the
by?
same
Do you
thing.
guys see a DeLorean? I still think I'm right, but that's all right.
I don't think anyone will get the
Look at me
DeLorean
trying to
joke.
be positive, and here Keith comes in.
I'm exhausting like that.
You're such a rooster.
I thought the end.
So
I think that. I guess it's an upgrade for Liz. So it's.
Wait, Liz, isn't that your Chinese birth animal?
No, I'm a dragon.
Oh, I think
How
I'm
do
a
you not
rooster,
know that
actually.
about me?
Oh, that's
You don't
right. You bring it
know?
up every time we go to a Chinese restaurant. I'm a
I'm
dragon.
the coolest. I'm a dragon.
I think I'm a chicken.
But then I'm
Or a rooster.
I'm also a Leo, so I'm a lion. I
Ugh,
mean,
you've lost me as soon as you said that.
well, it's funny because I never really got into that stuff, and someone was talking about zodiac signs or whatever. I'm like, I don't get it. I feel like I'm not a Leo, and they're like, you're a Leo.
Whenever someone asks me what my zodiac sign is, I say I'm a Charizard.
Nice.
I'm a Charizard. I don't know.
I just go, I don't know. I was born in December. You clearly know what that means. You tell me.
Well, it's funny because I said I don't think I'm a Leo, but I didn't know what it meant.
Maybe that's
just
actually
thought
one
it
of the
was,
signs.
like,
You don't know
Leo's-
zodiac symbols.
A lion is I just pictured a lion, and people were like, no. Yeah.
Wrong.
But anyway, Liz, I do agree. I do think we've been a little negative with this game. And these things that are annoying were great at
Do you know
first.
what? We should have recorded after the first however many hours that we enjoyed it. For me, it was maybe the 10-hour mark. If we had recorded at the 10-hour mark, I would have been just blowing
Game of the year,
smoke
10 out
up.
of
Yeah. So for me, it's just, I just played too much of it.
I think I'm somewhere around 10 hours right now. And I came into this episode like, yeah, I think I really like this. And the more I'm talking about it, I don't dislike it. I'm just like, maybe I don't want to keep playing. At least I don't want to aggressively keep playing it. This could be a game I could see myself picking up, play an hour or two here and there over time. But I don't think especially now that we're talking through it, I don't want to go back and deep dive and be like, I gotta power through this game. I gotta beat it. I'd like to just chew at it.
But wouldn't you just rather play Zelda, though? Keith, you can't. You haven't played it. But the new ones...
You don't have a Switch, Keith. You can't do it.
But the new one's coming out.
I do have a Switch, so I could have it. I just
you have a
don't.
Switch? I didn't know that.
But, Andrew...
New podcast idea.
I want to ask you, Andrew.
Yeah.
So, if someone's going to play this, would you tell them... And if they had Zelda on the Switch, which would you recommend? Especially with the new Zelda coming out.
Well, if you're an achievement hunter, play this because this game has achievements and Zelda does not.
Okay. No, I'm talking about game
I
quality.
struggle sometimes playing Switch games because I'm like, I'm not getting achievements doing this.
Yeah, I remember Gardenscape came out with achievements, and you were like, ooh, and it was just the same game.
I know. All right.
Get rid of achievements.
Okay. I think Zelda is a better game, but I'm going to irritate a lot of people. I don't think Breath of the Wild is the best Zelda game. Some people out there think it is like a masterpiece. I hated the weapon degradation in that game. I hate when I got this really cool sword and I'm like, I can only have this for a little bit of time and then it's gone. That really irritated me. And also,
were they unique?
Yes,
too.
They were.
Sorry.
And overall though, I also don't care too much for Zelda's story. They're very rinse and repeat. Hyrule's in danger. Bad guy captures Zelda. You got to go rescue her. It's very similar. There is some new elements with Breath of the Wild that were okay, but it wasn't something that gripped me. But the overall gameplay and package, so much better in Breath of the Wild. The puzzles were all interesting, unique. The boss fights were cool. The going to the dungeons were cool. So yes, overall better package in Zelda.
That's why I don't know if I'd go back to this.
See, if I recommended this game, well, the people who are listening, I do recommend this game because I gave it a game. Don't binge this game because that's obviously a big issue with us. We obviously played this game as much as we can within a week. If you could actually pace yourself with this game, much more enjoyable. But the fact that we just kept seeing the same puzzles over and over again, the same enemies over and over again, in such a short time, I was so sick of it. But yeah, if you played this game for a little bit, took a month break, came back to it, it'd be great. because this game too, I think, is very easy to pick up. The controls are very simple. They actually, one thing that's nice, I don't know if you guys ever noticed, but in the bottom right of the screen, it always told you the controls. So as you're gliding, the controls of the gliding would appear on the bottom right. Hey, hold B to dive or hold X to boost. You know, it would always kind of give you these like notifications. Same with like when you're swimming. So I think this game's very easy to just like put down and then pick up again.
I couldn't figure out how to. So at the beginning when playing, I could dive and get things, and then my dive stopped working. It wouldn't let me go underwater, and I couldn't figure it out. I Googled it, I YouTubed it, I looked up how to do it because I had done it at the beginning when there wasn't a tutorial. I just figured it out on my own, and then it just stopped working completely for me. Because like when you're going in the water, you can actually like feel that there's something near you. It didn't work anymore.
Huh.
And I actually forgot all about that until this moment. But I also know too that like my love for the game went down so much that when I first started playing this, Andrew, I tweeted about it. He downloaded Disney Dreamlight Valley, and we are both obsessed.
You got the name right.
I struggled with it though. We both loved the game, and I was like, oh, I don't know which one I want to play. And then towards the end, I was just like, Disney, 100%. I can't get sick of that game yet. It's amazing, but that's how I knew that I was like, oh. Going downhill.
We put so much time into it now. It's like, well, I feel like we got to record an episode.
I know, and it's so weird because it's obviously meant for kids, but like I love it.
Is it a little dark?
No. I mean, I just
scary?
like it's very simple in some ways, but there's a lot going on like gameplay wise. And I also, this is coming from someone who is not a diehard Disney fan. I've never been to Disney. I don't go like sit around watching Disney movies all day, although I do like some. But,
are you making this a two-parter episode? No, let's talk about this.
No, I'm just saying that like I'm not really that into Disney, and this Disney game took my attention away from this game.
Yeah,
that's the comparison that I'm just putting out there. So if someone's played the Disney game, I'm like, play the Disney game over this. That's what I'm saying.
I don't know if I'd say that. It's very
really.
Different
How
pace.
many times how much time have you put into Disney, and you're going to say that?
Well, that's a different pacing of a game. I think you love...
Yeah, but you knew we could only play this for a week, and I saw you playing Disney way more than I saw you playing this game. So I don't understand.
That's not true.
No, okay.
I've almost beaten this game. And this game is, like I said,
I
like
would love
25
to
hours.
see the hours on Xbox to see what you put more time into, but...
Okay.
I mean, I'm, and this is, I don't know. I'm just saying, if Andrew was beat the game, I think that says enough.
I like Keith that you haven't been here watching him play either of the games. You're just like, oh yeah, I'm gonna stand for my bro. I bet he was playing this game more, even though I have no idea how many hours he's put into the other game. Like, let me make guesses about your house and what goes on in your house. Okay.
But I've seen him on Phoenix.
Leo.
I haven't seen him on Disney.
I really.
Just saying.
That is wild, Keith. That is the wildest thing you've ever done.
You don't see what he does at 2 a.m.
Yes, because I haven't been
at
sleeping well this week. I've actually come into his office at like 1 o'clock in the morning multiple times.
Give the man some space.
You guys should never be
I'm not allowed to go into a room in my house? Keith, you get out of here. I came with you today. This is wild.
Oh my god. Okay. Anyway.
So we're doing a game. This is a podcast about video games.
This is a podcast about you and Liz fighting.
Keith has cameras in our house. I don't know what's going on.
If you guys ever, like, whenever you guys meet in person, you guys are going to punch each other.
I wonder if people really think that we, like, hate each other.
I think you guys hate each other.
Because we've hung out quite a few times.
Yeah.
I genuinely like Keith.
I love Liz. This is great.
People say you when you lie, your voice gets higher there, Keith.
But you know what it is? It's when we're doing the podcast that, like, sometimes, like, he brings the sassiness out of me. But when we're hanging out, just chilling, I do not feel any type of way towards Keith negatively. Like, I don't feel aggressive or sassy.
No animosity.
It's so weird. Sometimes you'll just say
I'm pretty
something
sure
and I'm just like...
I'm fairly certain we've played some games.
We've played some.
That I've probably gotten you fired up on some card games.
No, I couldn't figure out Munchkin to save my life. But all the other card games, I think I was drinking and I was having a good time. Probably, I think that's exactly what happened.
No one can figure out Munchkin. That's the thing: is you either learn Munchkin or you don't, and that's the two people in this
werewolf
world.
game. I loved playing that. Yeah.
That's a good one.
You can't get angry playing that game.
Yeah, you can.
I have a tick. So like you have to like, you know, you're around the table and
A tell.
Yeah, I have a tell, sorry. And when I'm over the werewolf, I guess like my lip like wants to smirk or smile or something. Our friend Mason like knew every single time. I was like, I need to put a mask on.
So welcome back to
Yeah,
this week's
Immortals.
episode of This Little Part of Mine.
There's
where we talk
no
about
werewolves in
Game of the
Immortals, but
Week.
there are phoenixes and bears.
Which, by the way, hate this game's name. It's Immortals Phoenix Rising. It's not like Immortals semicolon.
But the original was worse.
Oh, yeah.
I told Andrew because I looked it up, and I think it's worse. The original. It was a trademark issue, I guess.
Yeah, what was its original name?
Gods and Monsters, I think, or something. Is that right?
Which that sounds like a board game. Gods and Monsters.
I thought it was. Or is it a movie?
Maybe. I mean, obviously, because it was a trademark issue.
I hope I have that name right.
But it's weird because like the name is all one sentence. So Immortals Phoenix Rising, and it's not immortal apostrophe s. It's just plural Immortals Phoenix Rising. I don't get this game's name. Just call it Phoenix Rising or Immortals. Like,
Yeah, there's not. What's that symbol? It's on the tip of
It's
my
a colon.
tongue. Yeah.
Yeah,
there's
and
no
that's the
that.
other thing too. It's like, oh, is this meant to be a series, the Immortals series? No, there's no colon. It's Immortals Phoenix Rising. It's like, what is this name? Sorry, that's my rant on that too. I feel like I am like complaining about a lot of this game.
It's because it's Ubisoft. I feel like.
Yeah, maybe.
There's something about it that's just under your skin. I'm just like that. I'm not the negative Nancy this week.
It just makes me sad. I think Ubisoft has such talent. The business people need to get out of there. Microsoft needs to buy
Squander it
Ubisoft,
away.
clean them out. But let's get into let's progress here, okay? Because
Can I bring up the next one?
Yes,
Because
Liz.
I can't wait to hear Andrew's opinion on the sound and voice acting.
It's very hit or miss.
You when the main character, when you heard me playing, you nonstop complained about the voice acting. Like, this is awful.
Yeah, I did not care for your main character's voice. So you could pick between male and female. I did female.
Me too.
What did you do, Keith?
I did the male voice.
Like to me, for
he kind of sounds
for
Scottish.
all of them, it just sounded weird. That's kind of weird.
I've never heard a real Greek accent. Oh no, that's not true.
You haven't seen Mamma Mia?
I feel like there are so many American actors who do Greek accents, and it all sounds the same. And so I kind of can't really place a real Greek. I should have YouTubed it before we started.
YouTube Greek accent.
Yeah.
But I just found I don't know. Sometimes it was the writing, and then sometimes it was the voice acting. Some of the just dialogue was weird. Like when it came to Zeus and Prometheus talking, every
I
once in a
like
while
that.
they'd put in like a modern day joke, and I was just like, this is weird. Like I didn't quite understand like the tone it was going for, of being like, hey, Zeus is awful, but then it's like, I don't know. Then they would just put this like weird modern twist on dialogue, and it's just like, what? I don't get what this game's
Can you
going
think
with.
of one in particular?
There was a technology reference when you're helping Ares. He goes, "Oh, we can track it via Amazon," and then he goes, "As in Amazon, my daughters, the Amazonians."
Yeah,
it's just like
it was-
okay.
Yeah, that might have been it. But it was something along those lines that I got too. That I was like, oh, that's kind of like a weird reference. But I just took that as the game kind of just being a bit cheeky. Quite
And, yes,
honestly,
and I didn't mind it. Like I said, some of the humor is kind of funny. It was just kind of weird, and I don't know. Some of the just dialogue I just thought was just really kind of odd.
I just thought of something because I was thinking of like the music would like sometimes like the fight music would like end a little bit later, and then I remembered the Wraith when it would come, the music and the graphics would change, and it reminded me that I was playing on easy and they were stalking me the entire time. And Andrew, you were on what, normal?
Yeah.
And they left you alone until the end.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
thought
Keith,
that
did you
was
ever get
funny.
attacked by a wraith that wasn't scripted?
I think once that wasn't scripted, and I think this is what happened. I don't know. I was going around hacking down trees. Well, because there's the achievement to chop down like 100 large trees or something. So I was just like, I'm just gonna walk around and just chop down trees for a little bit, and then all of a sudden it popped out and the like voiceover, it said something about your actions have consequences. So I don't know if
The trees
I mean,
revolt.
Typhon is like trying to. Well, like Typhon's trying to destroy the world, so I'm like, I don't know why he'd be all that upset if I'm just cutting down some trees and stuff. But like, That's the only thing I could think I did that would trigger it. I was just walking, chopping trees.
Captain Planet, assemble!
Maybe he wanted to make sure he got to destroy everything on the planet, not me. He didn't want me having any of the pleasure of chopping some trees. But
that's actually one thing with the villain. Actually, now that you bring it up, I always thought Typhon's goal was just to kill the gods. And so that's why for me, at first I was like, I kind of want to side with Typhon here. But then he was like, I'm going to remake the world and destroy it or whatever. Then I was like, no, you lost me. But speaking of that achievement, Keith, not to get into achievements, did you notice the name of that achievement's Logs and Monsters? Which I thought is kind of a reference to the name they were trying to go with of Gods and Monsters.
Oh, that's nifty.
Oh, yeah. But Liz, did the voice acting annoy you?
I thought it was kind of monotone sometimes with the female actress, like the main character.
Yeah.
But sometimes I thought she did really well. I don't know. It was kind of up and down for me. I was just kind of meh about it.
Yeah.
I also thought too, like the guy that was like helping her, the person who she saved and then stole from her, he was kind of the worst
Hermes.
too. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think. Do you know what it is? I think I had trouble kind of gauging like the voice acting because the faces did not match the emotions that were supposed to be going on.
Yeah.
So I think maybe I thought she was monotone because of her face. I don't know. It wasn't working for me.
I was always kind of thrown off of every time Prometheus would talk because it's the same voice actor of Adam Jensen in Deus Ex. So every time I just kept hearing him talking, I kept thinking and seeing Adam Jensen. But overall, I think the acting's okay. At least there wasn't any annoying noises. Not that I could think of. Which is good.
Nothing crazy. I think one of the things I liked is it did a good job of giving you like indication noises though. If that makes sense. Like
yeah,
if you were doing a puzzle and you weren't sure if you put something in the right place, it would basically tell you like for one, it would sort of auto like vacuum things into place at some points. Yeah. But if it didn't do that, it would kind of just give you like a nice little like chime or something. So you felt comfortable that you did the right thing. So I did like that.
And visually too, if you're about to be attacked from behind, it would have like a little indicator, which was nice.
But one of my things I actually really enjoyed was the death animations. Anytime you're fighting somebody, whenever you do the final blow on someone, whether it's really weak or really strong, the enemies literally shoot up in the sky like a rocket. And it literally,
I forgot about that.
It reminded me of Pokemon. Every time they beat Team Rocket, Team Rocket's blasting off again! And they would just fly in the sky and kind of disappear. Literally every enemy you're fighting. And it always would just make me chuckle. Because it's like, here comes a board. I'm just like, regular sword hit. It's just across the map. I loved it.
It is a bit traumatic, but it's funny. I'll give you that. They kind of vanish Thanos style, just
because it wasn't graphical at all. I mean, it's just they turned just into kind of dust and disappeared. It's just, but it always just made me laugh. But I think visually the game's pretty good. I will say, I think the Greek god bodies, specifically Aphrodite's, are really disproportional. She had like a massive head, but super long arms,
big hands.
But yeah, big hands, tiny biceps. It was just kind of weird looking. But I mean, I think like your character models though, and like Hermes, who's actual like a being, because the gods, this is what I didn't get. Hermes was a physical human body. I don't know if they explained this in the end game, but any gods you were returning their essence were like these celestial beings. And it's like, I don't get why Hermes isn't. He was supposed to be a god. But overall though, I think that visually, I think this game's pretty nice. Unfortunately, a lot of the same environments.
Yeah, there was two of the god areas that were very similar. They kind of just melded together. It was the ugly one. It was the
Ares and Hephaestus.
It was red and dirty, and
which that made me sad because I thought the game was actually going with 4 seasons.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I thought it was gonna be like, bottom left is spring, bottom right, get into fall. Then I thought top right was gonna be winter, and then top left was gonna be like summer. No, it's just they're just different colors.
It's like they started it but didn't finish it.
Yeah.
That absolutely would have made sense. So I don't know why they didn't go with that. But yeah, I don't know. I thought overall the visuals, I don't know. I thought they were pretty good. But yeah, like you said, a lot samey, but nothing too bad.
Yeah. It as far as visuals too, like, so as I said, you're collecting a lot of these chests to get weapons, which you're always getting either an axe or sword or bow or armor, and like they don't change gameplay, but they have different perks. But it was just kind of annoying. After you got so many, you're just unlocking color variants of them, which was getting really annoying. It's like, hey, you already got this armor, but now it's in green. And I'm just like, I literally could not care less about that.
See, I was mostly just getting armor. Like I for all the gameplay, I did 2 axes, 1 sword, and 3 bows.
Yeah, I not get a lot of weapons either. It's just a lot of armor. And it was so disappointing to be like, ooh, it's a slightly different green.
Yeah.
Hated it. And then, like I said, typical Ubisoft thing of, hey, do you want to spend real money and get cooler cosmetics with cooler looking designs? It's like not interested at all. But yeah, let's get into achievements now.
Yeah, Andrew, you did the best. 445 out of 1845 with 29 achievements.
1845 because of DLC, but...
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. So 445. Keith, 195. And it's funny because I got further in the game, but got 180. So I didn't do well. But I guess I was towards the end leaning more towards story because I wanted to see what happens. And then I realized how long the game was. And that's when I was just like, yeah, I'm going to throw my hat in.
Well, you didn't walk around chopping down trees, Liz.
Did you actually get the achievement, Keith?
I didn't actually get that.
I was going to say, because it's like 100 trees. That's a lot of trees you got to chop down.
But I don't know, there was definitely some where, I don't know, I was getting distracted by side quests that I think were getting me different achievements or whatever. I don't know. I got that far somehow.
Yeah. I don't recommend this game for achievement hunters because, like a typical open world game, the achievements are maxing this out, collecting all of that, doing all of that. So it's a lot of hours you got to look into if you're doing this, trying to get 100% on this game. But yeah, let's get to our final thoughts here because I'm sure people are sick of hearing us harp on this game.
Oh, I see what you did there. Yeah. Music challenges.
Oh, nice, Andrew. That was good.
So for me, as I said, this game, it is a game. I did have fun with it. It does have its shortcomings though. I definitely do not binge this game. If you pace yourself on it, I think you'll have a lot more enjoyable time. I found the story relatively interesting. I did kind of want to know what happened in the end. But I didn't care too much for your character, her struggles. But the overall story I thought was pretty fine. The combat overall was pretty good. I just got so sick of fighting the same monsters over and over and over again. Same with the puzzles. The puzzles, at first, I thought the puzzles were a lot of fun. I thought they had some cool aspects to it. But you start to notice a lot of recycled puzzles. And that got just annoying. So this is just a very Ubisoft game. If you love what Ubisoft offers, a lot of the fluff and collecting stuff and finding things, this game's going to be right up your alley. If you're like me and you enjoy Ubisoft games, but they just grate on you, this is 100% going to be that game. It's not bad. Fantastic Game Pass game. Just don't binge it. That's my biggest takeaway from this. For me, I'm giving it an 83.
Yeah, it's like I came into this episode and I was pretty high on it. I was thinking I really enjoyed it, and I did. Overall, I enjoyed my time with it. And I think it's just more and more that we've talked about it. I am seeing those sort of repetitive flaws in the nature of how they designed the gameplay here. And so I think it's a struggle. But I think it's just like we said, where I did enjoy it is, I did play enough. Don't let anyone call me out. I know all of our listeners are just trying to get me.
I mean, people who've played this game know if you're already on like the second stage of Aphrodite, like you played quite a bit.
Yeah. So like
it's long to get there.
So yeah, I'm like, I don't know. I'm like 10 hours into this game, and I still am not sick of it. And I don't think either Andrew or Liz, and I won't fully speak for them, but I don't think either of them are fully sick of it. But it does get to you, and especially if you're going to cram that many hours into a game like this within a week, it's going to get boring. So pace it out. Play 50 hours. Play it over a year. Play it, an hour a week. But don't binge it, and you can really appreciate it for what it is, because it is fun to play. It's just there's just so much going on that it's hard to really focus on it. So it's definitely still a game. I think I'll land it on an 80.
Well, I was actually unsure what to give it, and I was going to land on an 80 as well, because right now I want to give it lower. based on, because I am sick of it, genuinely. I don't want to play it anymore for at least a couple of months. But honestly, I'd go to Zelda. I don't think I'm gonna play it again, even though I had so much fun at the beginning, and so I didn't know how to. And hearing you, Keith, saying like, because we did binge it, I was like, I feel like I need to be a bit more generous with it. So for me, it's a generous 80. So yeah, I'm just gonna leave it at that. Oh, and then of course, Metacritic for Series X, 81 and 7.7. So it was actually higher than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
Because especially there were so many very low scores aimed at Ubisoft. So
I swear none of them are me. All right. But I think that's going to do it for us this week. So thank you all so much for joining us. If you have any game suggestions, we'd love to hear it. We're at GamePassGrabber@gmail.com, Facebook GBGBpod, and Twitter GBGBpod. I've been your hardcore gamer host, Andrew. You can find me on Xbox Live at Firebird0952. Come on by and say hi.
I've been Keith. I'm flying on out of here.
And I'm Liz Noob, gamertag Dean, and I'm on Twitter at Liz Noob. Noob is EW.
All right, everyone. Thank you all so much for joining us. We love you all. We'll see you again next week.
Bye, guys. Bye.